Okay, we just had an amazing chat about our nutrition side of things. Now let's continue in part 2 of this seminar and have a good chat about exercise. First, let's have a look at the difference between compound and isolated exercises. The main difference between the two is that an isolated exercise isolates a muscle. Therefore, you're using one single joint. One muscle will therefore be responsible for moving one joint. So this would be something like a chest fly, for example. The only joint that's moving is your shoulder. Where a compound exercise is multiple joints and therefore using multiple muscles. So a great compound exercise would be something like a squat, where your knees and your hips are moving. When you have a compound movements, and you have multiple muscles working, you can therefore lift a higher workload. You therefore can dramatically increase in strength. Also, it's much more functional. Once you have multiple muscles working, your body also knows that you've got multiple muscles working, so your brain also knows this, and it understands that there must be a lot of muscle tissue breakdown. So what your body does is it produces a massive amount of testosterone, growth hormone, IGF-1 hormones after your workout, and during your workout as well, where that wouldn't really happen anywhere near as much as doing isolated exercises. So compound movements don't only work to increase strength and hypertrophy, by breaking down a lot of muscle tissue, but by also producing a massive amount of post-exercise hormone release. When you are using compound movements, you also have faster growth and strength speed. So the speed at which these muscles are capable of recovering in your supercompensation and your body's ability to progress through your workouts dramatically increase. By having multiple muscles working, you can also now have a higher calorie expenditure. Your body burns a massive amount of calories. A classic example is I did a squat workout, a leg workout the other day, and I put a heart rate monitor on, and throughout my entire leg workout, my average heart rate was about 165 beats per minute. So the amount of calories I burnt out after that workout was absolutely phenomenal. But hey, is there a place for isolation exercises? Yeah, definitely. If you want to just isolate one particular muscle in order to allow that muscle to catch up in speed of growth or strength, then you can do isolation exercises just to pick at that one particular muscle. So when you're doing chest, for example, doing flies can isolate that muscle. If you've got really big arms and you've got a small chest muscle and you're doing exercises such as a bench press, then a lot of the workload transfers to your triceps and your anterior head of your deltoid, such as your front head, and therefore they take all the workload because your chest is so weak, and you'll just continuously get bigger arms. Isolation exercise is also really good for injuries. So if you've got injuries in one particular area, you can exercise and increase the strength of that one particular exercise. And it's also great for pre-fatiguing sets. So take leg extensions, for example. Leg extensions are great for your vastus intermedialis and your vastus medialis, which is that little teardrop on the inside. And therefore, when you pre-fatigue those muscles, and by doing leg extensions at the beginning of your leg workout, you can then go into the sets such as squats, and your vastus lateralis, the outside sweep of your leg, now takes a bigger pounding because all those other supporting muscles are already pre-fatigued. So doing pre-fatiguing sets with isolation exercises are also an amazing way to go. Free weights versus machines. Free weights puts you in a three-dimensional environment, far more functional. I mean, we live in a three-dimensional environment, not in a machine environment. So it's very important to be doing free weights for beginners, intermediates, and advanced. It also dramatically increases the strength of tendons and ligaments, etc. So you get far more growth doing free weights than machines. When you do free weights, you're also using a whole range of secondary muscle groups and balancing muscles in order to coordinate and control your movements, where you'll never have that when exercising machines. But when you do use machines, you dramatically decrease the chances of injury, and therefore it's always great to use machines as your last set, just to smash out whatever you got left when you're completely fatigued and you don't want to hurt yourself. They're great to rebalance posture and building lagging muscles, the same as isolation exercises. Guys, this is one of the main things I want you to take away from this session is time under tension. I want to tell you something very important, and I don't want you to ever forget it. Muscles can't count reps. Your muscle tissue has got no idea what a repetition is. So counting repetitions is nowhere near as important as how much time under tension you've got. You see, the problem is that all exercises in research has been done with 5-second reps. So when you're doing things such as strength training, they say you must do between 1 to 6 reps, because what they're really trying to do is get you to do anywhere between 1 to 30 seconds of exercise. Because basically what happens is if your muscle tissue is under tension for more than 40 seconds, then what happens is that a little time clock goes off in your brain, and your brain starts secreting a lot of growth hormone, IGF-1 hormone, testosterone, etc. Because your body knows that your muscle tissue has been under tension for so long that it needs to produce these hormones in order to help your body recover. So if you don't get to that 40-second threshold, you'll dramatically increase in strength, because you must have been lifting a heavy weight to fatigue so early, but you'll never grow. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't know this is because we learn from professional bodybuilders. Professional bodybuilders take a lot of drugs anyway. They take a lot of steroids. They take a lot of growth hormone. I'm not against it, but I wouldn't promote it. But hey, they do take it. And when they do take artificial hormones, their body doesn't need to produce it. So they don't need to get to that 40-second mark in order to grow. They can lift really, really heavy, and their body's already got that hormone in them. But for every other human being on the planet, getting to that 40-second threshold is vital. So we must exercise and get to failure somewhere between the 40-second mark and the 80-second mark. More like the 70-second mark, I think. So I think it's more like 40 to 70 seconds, not really 40 to 80. You want to be lifting to failure somewhere between the 8 rep and 12 rep mark, assuming, of course, you've got that 5 seconds per set. So 1 second contract, 4 seconds release. 1 second contract, 4 seconds release. So 2 to 8 repetitions is what we're looking at in order to increase in strength, but 8 to 12 repetitions to increase in size. Of course, this is all done with 5 seconds per rep. One of my greatest bodybuilders, what they do is actually carry a clock with them. So instead of counting reps, they go through their sets with their repetitions nice and slow and in control movements, looking to break down as much muscle tissue as they possibly can, and then looking to get to failure after the second hand gets to the 8, which is around about the 40-second mark. Assuming, of course, they started on the 12. All programs should be done between 6 to 8 weeks. Your body starts adapting to your programming around about that time, so you definitely want to reprogram your body. So there's a FIT principle: frequency, intensity, time, and type. And what you want to do is you want to change at least, or modify at least 1 or 2 of those frequency, intensity, time, and type of exercise that you're currently doing. I like to completely mix it up and go from things such as squats to lunges after 6 to 8 weeks, or go from dumbbell presses to barbell presses after 6 to 8 weeks, or something of that nature. Go from dumbbell flies to cable flies, or go from wide grip lat pull downs to chin ups every 6 to 8 weeks. So try and find out which movements are your favorites, but then just change the method in which you're doing those movements. 5-second reps for success. So power it up 1 second up, nice and slow on the way down. You want to power it up, the weight up, because the more power and the faster you supply that force, the heavier the weight will become. You don't want to go too fast, however, otherwise it's going to create momentum, and momentum will actually make the weight lighter. So you definitely want to be lifting a heavy weight, but explode into it as heavy as you possibly can. Now, once you've got that weight up, go down nice and slowly. You want to promote the downward movement as much as you can. The slower you go down, the more muscle tissue you're going to tear and break down, and that's great. You want your muscle tissue to tear as much as it possibly can, because the more it tears, the more it has to regrow bigger and stronger, so you're going to get better results. Always have symmetrical feet. The only thing I don't like symmetrical feet on is a tricep push down. But apart from the tricep push down, I think everything should have symmetrical feet. I hate seeing people doing bicep curls, for example, with a stagger stance. Make sure your posture is always good, your back and your head, etc. When lying down on the bench, never have your feet up on the bench. Always have a neutral spine. When you're doing squats, always have a neutral spine. Try and do some squats sideways in the mirror. You definitely don't want to go too deep. Have a look at one of my exercise videos as I did on a squat, you really don't want to be going too deep. If you go too deep and if you have inflexible hamstrings, it will posteriorly tilt your pelvis, flattening out your spine and transferring all the weight to your back. That's how people get bad back, so you definitely don't want to do that. I think you should always be using good technique except for the last 1 or 2 reps off your heaviest set. Throwing technique out the door and cheating just for 2 reps is not such a bad thing. You just don't want to be doing having bad technique for every rep for every set. That's when you're really going to hurt yourself. But hey, throwing technique out the door just to smash out those last 1 or 2 reps, I'm all for it. Locking limbs, don't ever lock your limbs. Keep the weight on your muscle tissue the whole time, and your plates shouldn't ever touch. Recovery. ZMA is an amazing supplement to take. It's zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 in combination. It's a natural formation of which triggers your body to secrete growth hormone when you're sleeping at night and testosterone. So your body only produces testosterone and growth hormone, etc. in 2 times: when your body's extremely stressed or when it's completely relaxed. So ZMA and zinc and magnesium is a natural muscle relaxant. So you'll have the best sleep ever. And your body will produce a massive amount of growth hormone. Hey, you're going to wake up first in the morning horny as hell because you've produced all these hormones when you didn't really need them. But it will definitely help you recover. Just remember 40% of your growth occurs when you sleep. Definitely have a massive amount of protein. Try and double your weight in protein. You can't compare a whey protein shake to whey protein from food. Protein is a group name of all different types of amino acids. And in food, you're going to get all the amino acids, and some of them you don't need. The protein companies know which amino acids are responsible for muscle growth, and out of the 34, only use the particular ones. I think there's about 6 or 8 of them that's just responsible. The number 1 amino acid in the world that's number 1 that's responsible for muscle growth is leucine. So you can take leucine in its pure form. I take it with orange juice or apple juice whilst I'm actually training, and that's the type of branched chain amino acid, BCAA. ZMA we spoke about. Fat loss supplements versus fat loss drugs. I'm not really going to get into that right now because I've got a whole nother seminar to do just on that. But once you've got your nutrition right, you've detoxified your body, you're exercising well, you're getting amazing results, now you can get into fat loss supplements. Fat loss drugs, stay away from them because all they pretty much do is stop you from feeling hungry. They just stop you from feeling hungry, and that way you're not going to eat and you're not going to grow. You're just going to starve yourself to death, and your body's just going to end up eating itself to survive. So taking fat loss drugs, definitely not. Fat loss supplements, I'm all for it if your body is already in a position where you're capable of losing fat and you're looking for something to accelerate that process. Questions and answers. Hook me up. Ask me anything you like. I've got an amazing personal training company here in Sydney that's very successful, and if I can spend some extra time with the world helping you guys out, then I'm all for it. But keep tabs on my YouTube, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.